So in June, I think 28th, so 2 weeks ago, the city of Pueblo is putting on the ballot that they want to change the current form of government, which is a council manager form of government, to a mayor council form of government. So this is brand new. This is going to be on the ballot November 7th, 2017, this year. So the city of Pueblo is putting, it's called a referendum. They're putting a ballot question to the people of Pueblo, which is awesome. I'm actually very thankful for Colorado, because Colorado has the power to recall, so you can throw out any of the bums if you get enough signatures, signatures on your petition, and the power of initiative and referendum. So this is a referendum. So I believe the people could petition city council and get their own issues on the ballot. I don't see why that should be legal here. But this is a referendum, so this is a city council initiated ballot issue that the people are going to vote for November 7th, 2017, in addition to 4 city council members, maybe some other issues, and then there's also a board of water guy, and then somebody else. So there's like 7 positions, so it's a city council election, 4 of the 7. So the majority of city council in Pueblo are up for either election or re-election. The president of city council, Steve Rocky, he is stepping down. So there's 1 open seat, and Bob Schilling is running for re-election, and you have nobody running for the at-large position. I suspect Lori Winter might be running, but so far you only have 1 candidate running for at-large candidacy. Now, we're going to find out more August 8th, but ultimately 4 out of 7, that's the majority. We can change city council, right? We can make city council progressive, get 4 brand new people in there. And so that seems to be the whole issue of the strong, so-called strong mayor amendment, is the old guard trying to push their policies on whoever the new guard will turn out to be. So this is exciting stuff. I hope that all 4 of them are progressive, and we actually make the city council of Pueblo more progressive. So ultimately, I believe this is illegal. Okay, so I disagree with it. I think it's wrong. I think it's a bad idea, and I got my reasons for that, which I'll probably share some. But the main argument that I have is that this shit is illegal. They already tried it in 2009, 8 years ago. 68% of Pueblo said, fuck you, to the whole strong mayor amendment. Now, it's strong mayor versus a strong city manager, right? Which I'll get to, because there's nuances, political science nuances, a bunch of nerds, saying, this way better, this way's better, or that way's better. And then there's the overarching, what are the main systems of power? What are the main branches? Alright, so to begin with, it's illegal. Section 1.2, form of government. The municipal government provided by this charter shall be known as the council manager government, and shall not be changed except by charter convention upon majority vote of the qualified voters, pursuant to its provisions and subject only to limitations imposed by the state constitution and by this charter. All powers of the city shall be vested in an elective council. Okay? So they just said that all the powers in an elective council, and then they've designated the council manager as the system of government for the city of Pueblo. This is the 1954 city charter, the current charter, the charter for the last 63 years. And so the charter for the last 63 years is saying that, if you want to change this government, if you want to change the council manager form of government to another form of government, like strong manager, it's mayor council is a specific name, right? And just like council manager is the specific name. So mayor, council, or council manager, which one do you want? The nicknames I have for them is strong mayor and strong city manager. So do you want a strong mayor system, Pueblo, or do you want a strong city manager? What's the difference? Why do we need, are we going to have both of them? Are they going to both be competing for power? So we're going to have this complicated sort of Frankenstein hybrid, there's going to be two kings. We're still going to have the, city manager and the mayor. Who's writing this? Where's the wording and, the specific language for this? Are we going to, the problem that I see is that it's attacking the very fundamental tenet of the city charter, which is the, law of the land. It's here in the city of Pueblo. All of the law comes from the Constitution, and the Constitution of Pueblo is a mixture between the charter and the U.S. and Colorado Constitution. And we're a home rule city, so actually that would put precedence on the city charter. The whole city of Pueblo is governed by the city charter. And the Colorado and American Constitution are kind of put off to the wayside because it's the city charter that is, talking about police and fire and jails and health and education and what, everything, right? Anything and everything is what they're supposed to take care of. That's why we have government, right? We have government so they help the people. So section 1-2, it says that if you want to change the council manager form of government, you can't do it by amendment. You got to do it by a charter convention. And the exact wording is charter convention upon the majority vote of the qualified voters. So if you want to change Pueblo's council manager government, then what you need to do is call a charter convention. You could put that on the ballot, see if the majority of the people would be in favor of calling a charter convention. I actually very much would love to be a part of a charter convention, because if I am a part of it, then that's a progressive voice. I know there's at least one progressive voice that is writing this brand new document. So I'm under the opinion that this strong mayor amendment will nullify the entire fucking city charter, every bit of it. This is the third sentence. The first one is the preamble. The second sentence is, we shall be called the city of Pueblo. And then the third sentence is, we're a council manager government. We're a council manager government. That's just it. It's set in stone. Bam, there it is. Council manager form of government. You elect a city council, and then the city council people choose the chief executive and the city manager. And so that's this system of government. And if you want to change it, you got to get a charter convention, and you got to get a majority vote of the qualified voters. So what I take that to mean is, just on its face, that sentence, the charter convention upon the majority vote of the qualified voters. Majority vote, right, over 50% of the qualified voters, and I think the qualified voters are the delegates. So we're all going to pick like 100 or 200 people to go inside a building in a city charter convention, just like a constitutional convention, and then those 100 or 200 are going to hash it out for a month or 2 or 3 or however long it takes until they're able to rewrite the entire governing charter, the entire governing city constitution for the city of Pueblo. I would be in favor of doing something like that, but that's not what they're doing. What they're doing is I suspect it's a fig leaf, but it's an amendment that's changing a fundamental tenet to the city of Pueblo. And by, smashing one of those foundations, the rickety foundation of a water tower, the whole thing's going to come crashing down. It nullifies the entire document. Everything is up for grabs. If we can change, basically it would be like, we the people. No, how about we some of the people? Well, if you're going to change some of the, foundational words in the founding document, it's going to change a lot of shit. So I think they should be honest and just do a charter convention. A part of me thinks that it's a fig leaf. Essentially, they know they could change the entire fucking system of government, but they don't want to ask that question because that would be too honest. They want to rewrite the entire rules to the game. This can be revolutionary or counter-revolutionary. It can be progressive or, regressive. So we want to move forward, right? We want to move forward. So with this amendment on its face, it's illegal. It's illegal. So therefore it's criminal. It's unconstitutional. It can't be done. They've already put the amendment on the ballot, and the people might even vote for it. Even if the people vote in favor of it, 68% hated it just 8 years ago. But shit changes, right? So 68% hated then, but now, if they were able to get the majority to vote in favor of it, it would plunge Pueblo into a constitutional crisis. Because if you're going to change the very third sentence, the very foundational structure of the entire fucking government with this one single line amendment, then if you're going to smash the entire fucking, it's an electoral coup d'etat. It's an electoral coup d'etat. With just a ballot initiative, if they're able to trick the people of Pueblo to vote in favor of it, then you're going to have a cabal of people that's going to rewrite the entire rules to the game. Now, I think they're being honest, and perhaps, that's honorable intentions, but to me, this is a horrendous idea. It solves nothing. It's stupid, it's illogical, and it's illegal. It's illegal. You want a strong mayor system? All right, then call a charter convention. And then get a majority vote of those delegates that go to that charter convention. Once you have a majority vote of the qualified voters, then you'll have your strong mayor government. But by changing the entire fucking government by amendment, it's illegal. You can't do it. You can't do it. It would be like if you're playing Monopoly and instead of rolling the dice, you just move 2 spaces and start buying property. No, you gotta roll the dice. You gotta roll the dice. That's how the game works. If you just move 2... What do you do? What do you do when someone just moves 2 spaces, that they weren't supposed to move? Well, you force them to go back. You can't do that. You can't, we're not playing the fucking game with you. You need to quit because you don't know how to play the game. You're not playing by the rules. So that's my main argument. It's fucking illegal. And I don't know exactly how to get that across. I'm going to, I don't know. I mean, I'm making this video, so if they come across this video, then... hopefully they just change their ways, right? Or hopefully the amendment fails. So, I don't think you get any more clear. I mean, for shit's sake, you cannot change the council manager government except by charter convention upon majority vote of the qualified voters. That's verbatim. That's verbatim. So, the so-called strong mayor amendment that we're going to be voting for, or against, hopefully against, unless you're stupid. Yeah, so it's illegal by section 1-2 of the city charter. And then the powers of the city manager are great. So the power of the city manager is already huge. We got a strong executive to begin with. So the only thing that makes sense to me is they want a strong mayor to be stronger than the strong city manager. Because if you don't want the mayor to be stronger than the city manager, then what are you doing it for? Because you want a weak? No, they're strong, right? They want more fascism, more power vested in the executive branch. So if they want more power vested in the executive branch, which, in general, I'm for more power with the executive, and most especially the weak-ass legislative, the poor write the bills and, vote with the majority. Maybe get 1 or 2 departments speak up for the few. The legislative, I think we should increase the executive and legislative to a equal spot as the judicial branch, which actually seems like they have pretty much most of the fascist power. But the cops are the executive branch. So therefore, Sam Azad is the king fascist, and he's the king money man. He's got budget power, he's got hiring and firing power, he's got soft power, he's got hard power. He's the god, he's the king. Sam Azad cannot do anything illegal. Everything Sam Azad does, if he can justify that it's, in favor of the city of Pueblo. Of course, he needs to live and survive and be protected. Of course, his enemies, he needs to enact revenge upon his enemies because he needs to have a clear mind when he's city managing the city of Pueblo. And because he believes in the city of Pueblo and he wants to make us a, more positive and a great place to live, since he knows that he is, genuinely wants Pueblo to be a better place. Him defending himself, right? So it's a radical theory of government. It's Richard Nixon and his fucking lawyers, but essentially if the executive does it, it's not illegal. So it's a controversial and rare. I'm not for sure if I believe in it or not. I would say no. It can't be absolute, right? You can't be absolute power. But right now, I would say the executive branch aren't even close to being absolute. So that's what it seems like they're pushing for. They're pushing for a monarch. They want an absolutist. They want a Hitler. They want a Mein Führer Hitler. And, don't mind the rhetoric, because when it comes to Hitler and totalitarian, they basically want a strong fascist. The state has the monopoly of violence, and so the state is vested in the governor, the president, and the mayor, or if you're in Pueblo, the city manager. Okay, that's the chief executive officer. So they have, the power of the state, and the state has a monopoly of violence. That's, nation-state theory. I don't know. Fucking, it was actually an anti-democracy professor that told me that. But it seems like that would be what they're basing a lot of their decisions on. They're the state. They get to do as the fuck as they please. So if there's, gang warfare, the state can come in, beat the shit out of everybody, shoot whoever, arrest whoever. But if they quashed the gang war, well, then they're justified. So they have a monopoly of violence, They're the Leviathan. They're the strongest gang on the block. And that's the whole theory of government, right? They're the strongest gang on the block, so therefore their policies are what get executed. Anyways, there's a nuanced perspective to this, and then there's a very specific perspective. They are both strong executive. That's the big picture. The big picture is they're both strong executive. You got a strong mayor, and you got a strong city manager. That's going to be the choices. Do you want to change Pueblo to a strong mayor, or do you want to retain a strong city manager? Well, what's the difference? Does a strong mayor somehow, are they going to be stronger than the city manager? If they're not going to be stronger, what's the point? So they're calling for a strong mayor who is stronger than the city manager. Well, the city manager has a shit ton of power. The city manager is the chief executive, so they have all the fascist power, just like everything I just said. But here's specifically from the charter, section 4.5. The city manager can hire and fire the chief of police, the chief of fire, the head of health, wastewater, stormwater, aviation, planning and community development, deputy city manager, internal services, parks and recreation, public works, civil service, housing and citizen services, fleet maintenance, human resources, information technology, purchasing, and Pueblo transit. So he can hire and fire or appoint and suspend all the heads and directors of all those bureaus and departments and all city employees. So he's allowed to hire and fire every single fucking employee in city government. In city government, he can fire them. Now, I think the city clerk is elected, so he can't fire the elected positions, but he can fire everybody else. Everybody else can be, canned. That's pretty, that's a lot of fucking power. He hires and fires everybody, right? Now, since he has human services or whatever, resources, so I'm sure he has other people that helps him do this and do that, and then there's probably people that were left over and they seem to be working out or what have you. But he's the fucking man. He's the king. He's got all this soft power. He could fire every single one of those heads of every one of those departments, fire them all, rehire a whole new fleet, completely drain the swamp, fire everybody, and then get actually regular people in there and give them, you had, I think, Rome or Athens or something, they were expected to work every single job. Everybody came together, and if somebody wanted you to be the president or the senator or the dog catcher, you were going to do whatever job they wanted to, and you were versatile, and you were ready to go into any position. I think that's how it should be. So fire every single government employee, right? The city manager should do that, or we should fire the city manager. That would be a way for the city council to save face. Just find some reason to fire him. 30 days, that's all it takes. 30 days. You don't even need a reason. You just have to write a list of reasons. That's sort of the protocol. But since people are calling for a strong mayor, well, we have a strong city manager. The city manager can hire and fire all these fucking employees. We have an $81 million budget. So what the fuck is the city manager doing, right? He controls all these people. He not only controls their jobs and what he pays them, but the policies and the laws that they enforce. So the ideas, it's totalitarian, right? Not only does he have power over the people's behavior, he's got power over their minds. He's a god. Fucking Sam Azad is a god. Now that's what Rodriguez was saying, was that because Sam Azad was a god, when he didn't want to do it, then it didn't get done. Well, if you're pissed off that Sam Azad has all that power, well, Sam Azad is a chief executive that actually has a check. There's checks and balances. The city council has power over Sam Azad because they could fire him at will. At any fucking moment, at any fucking time, for any, fleeting second, for any fleeting reason. They can fire the man that has all the power. So city council doesn't have much power. They have the power of contracts. So they got the power to dole out money, and that's a soft power. Budgets, monies, jobs, patronage. Those are soft power. Hard powers, fascist violence, right? Violence, maybe murder, maybe killing somebody, they died in the jail. What the fuck happened? 2 people died, or one of them was being transported. Well, anyways. So, the overall perspective is that the chief executive is one of the 3 branches of government, judicial, legislative, and the chief executive is the strongest guy in town. So if he's the strongest guy in town, what's the fucking difference? Okay, I keep asking the same question, but what's the difference? The manager, he hires and fires the chief of police, so he's over all the cops, all the, the chief of police, all the heads of the departments, over every single employee that the city employs. He exercises supervision and control over all executive and administrative departments and agencies created herein, or that may be created herein by the council. Again, same shit, the policy, the mind, totalitarian over, that little city, the umbrella of city employees. The city manager is responsible for enforcement of the laws and ordinance of the city, to prepare an annual budget and submit it to the council, and then be responsible for its administration after adoption. So the monies, how much everybody gets paid, everybody's jobs, their jobs tied, how much cash flow that they get. He prepares the annual budget, submits it to council, and then he's responsible for its administration after adoption. Must prepare a yearly report on the complete finances and administrative activities of the city for the preceding year, and keep the council advised of the financial condition and making necessary recommendation on the future needs of the city. Report violations of the corporations or public utility franchises whom the city has contracted with, and must participate in discussions of the council in an advisory capacity. So the city manager must be at the city council meetings. They got to listen to whatever city council is talking about. They're there for advice, right, as an advisory capacity, but very much the city council could be like, and Sam Azad, we want you to do A, B, C, and D. And if I'm the city council man, and I'm sitting there, person, whatever, if I'm the city councilman, and I'm having to design the parameters of policy for Sam Azad, the city manager, to follow, then during city council, I'm specifically dictating all the things that I want. But if Sam Azad doesn't do any of the things that I want, well, he's gone. Fuck him. He didn't do any of the things I want. I don't want him there. I'm pushing to fire him. I'm looking for 3 other council members to get him fired. He's not doing anything that I want, so he's got to go. Now, if he does some things, but other things he doesn't do, then it becomes of when does the cons outweigh the pros? So the city, there's lots of different interests. There's citizen interest, people's interest, parents, parks, whatever. There's just so many different things to prioritize what's important, what's not important. Since there's a million fucking things to decide upon, you might have to compromise a little bit. You might have to say, well, he wouldn't build this dam and this water park for me, but he did build this street and he did get rid of these fucking goat heads. And I don't know why City of Pueblo even allows these goddamn goat heads to run roughshod over the entire fucking city. It's kind of bullshit, to be honest with you, Pueblo. But that's the power of the city manager. He has to enforce all the laws and all the ordinances. He prepares the budget, so he comes up with all the jobs and job positions and how much they get paid. Whether they get suspended, whether they get fired, whether he rehires somebody else. He submits it to the council, so they got to prove it, right? So he doesn't have all the power. Council has some power. And that's another thing that makes it weird. Why would some of the city councilmen, the Bob Schilling and Chris Nickel, why would they all unanimously voted for it? So why would they vote in favor of this amendment? Strong mayor amendment. In a way it seems selfless, right? Because if they're pushing for a weak city council, Bob Schilling and Chris Nickel are saying, yes, we want a strong mayor and weak city council. Right? If you're calling for a strong mayor, you're going to have a weak city council. So I want a strong city council and I want a strong executive. I want a strong chief executive, whether you call him a city manager or whether you call him a mayor. I want a strong chief executive. I want a strong legislative, because I want them to be at least equal to the judicial branch, which is basically kicking all your all's asses. The judicial branch is kicking your all's asses. It's weird that they would call for a weak city council, but perhaps either to pay for themselves, maybe they want more money to be a weak, right? They'll keep their mouths shut as long as they get that paycheck, so they might be upping their pay. They're upping the mayor's pay, and they might be upping their own pay. And so it could be selfless, right? Maybe they just want to do what's in the best interest of all of Pueblo. And you all believe that? So he prepares the budget, he deals with all the monies, he deals with all the policies, all the ideas, the entire nation of the government, the city government, everybody that's under this umbrella, everybody that's working for the man. That's the power of our chief executive. So how can you have an army? Sam Azad, you got a fucking army behind you. You got shit ton of money, $81 million. So he spends $81 million on all these fucking employees and all these people. And if the problem is you can't get Sam Azad to do what you want to do, well, you're saying get a strong mayor so that there's no checks and balances. You know, what happens if the people elect a Sam Azad? You know who's going to fire him then? Nobody. Not the city council. It's easy to fire somebody under a city council mayor, the city manager system. But if they're the the strong mayor system, they're not even fired. They're not even being checked by the city council at all. And so that's sort of the nuanced perspective, is that you have Daddy telling the 7 little city council members what to do under the strong mayor system. Under the strong manager system, you have the 7 children of the city council telling Daddy what to do. And so I hope that you are offended by my characterization as city council's children. But the second way is way better. The second way is way better, because without a check, without a legislative check, you're saying the executive can do as the fuck as he pleases. And I am very much pro checks and balances. I'm not for a king. I don't want a tyrant. You gotta listen to the Constitution. You gotta listen to the legislative branch. I want a division of power. That's the point. That's the whole point of the American Revolution and the U.S. Constitution. That's like, fuck. That's like American Civics 101. But even though the one is a weaker city council than the other, ultimately they're both strong chief executives. They're both strong chief executives. So I don't understand what the point is. I don't understand what they the people that are calling for this, what they actually want.